Last video, I spent some time getting a piece of story gear called the Infernal Talc. Let's see what it does.
Cockroach? It's the most explosive of powders. A sprinkle, the gentlest of dustings of infernal talc will provoke gems to a molten rage. For the undying, the very sun will rise within their flesh. They will burn for their sins, not a cockroach. They will burn. You may go.
As for the description, a virtue gem is a raging thunderstorm imprisoned within a single raindrop. Infernal Talc simply lets the storm out. Malachi. A reprehensible person by all accounts, but he does seem to know how things work. Well, let's go test that out. Slightly less spectacular than I hoped, but it did work. The Ebony Barracks? I'm sure there's no one there. Well, first let's deal with this General Gravicius that everyone in town was talking about. For something with such an unreliable damage range, Spark seems to kill things, fairly reliably. I guess all I need is a couple of high rolls. Now, if I remember correctly, Gravicius likes to use a lot of fire. So let's gear for that. Blackguard Elite, huh? Nice to see you too. I don't want to meet that god of yours.
He wanted me burned back in Audius Gravicius. That wasn't very nice.
Well, there's also something else I want to do. I want to go to the Imperial Gardens to find that plum that Fairgraves was talking about. Before I do that, though, let's pick up a reward or two. Oh yeah, let's also pick up a prophecy or two.
Hello. A name remembered all this time. Their will stolen by a vengeful spirit.
Okay.
Hello. A full pocket, severed, spills forth like a struck spring.
Well, that seems fairly promising. Also, I want to double check the location of one of those tests, because I think there's still one left despite what I said in a previous video. Yep, in the hedge maze. And that is roughly where we are going. But rewards first.
You are the true spirit of Makor, the shark. Not the cowardly beast that sinks its teeth into the lonely swimmer. You strike the Waikoama, the canoe, spilling a feast of men into the water. Hunters turn hunted that you dine on at your pleasure. Have this, Makor.
That seems fairly interesting. I might... So there's two interesting lightning spells for me to experiment with here.
Be well.
But I don't really feel like going with those just yet. I have enough trouble just adjusting to the skills I already have. I appreciate how this game saves the progress on my maps for a little while. Saves quite a bit of time for when I want to do little trips like that. That's the way to the Loo Nourished Temple, which is the next big story dungeon. It's where Piety is. I'm sure she's doing some wholesome things in there. Huh, looks like the garden isn't this way. Backtracking. Well, maybe I'll gain a level off of it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. This is actually a fair amount of dungeon, which is why I'm only going to do this rather than going into Piety's house during this video. Well, that's unpleasant. I probably should have checked that monster's mods. Oh well. We don't need this. However, I do need this. Oh, are those snakes with chaos damage? I sure hope not. Library. There are some interesting things in there. I think that in my next video I'll stop by there before I go to Piety's place. I believe that you unlock a very interesting shop when you complete the quest in there. Tora? I'm not interested in you. I believe she's the hunter. Maybe I'm wrong.
Over here, Exile.
Yep, that's the one. Here we go. Now, to get armor that is useful for me, well, that's a rather dubious die roll. And the reason is, there's 6 types of armor, roughly. Which is to say, there's one for each main stat and one for each combination of 2 stats. So just to get the kind of armor that could possibly apply to me is a 1 in 6 chance. And then, of course, one has to take into account the chances of it being something better than what I have already, which it can be kind of slim. Well then, I'm trying to keep an eye out for white gear that has links that are useful to me, because those essences that I've been picking up, they promote white items to rare items, and the thing is, the higher the item level, the stronger the effect. up to a certain limit. Most of the essences that I've collected so far have an item limit of 35, which is something I'm getting rather close to. Oh, that's unpleasant. Finally. I think I got some low damage rolls earlier. Embarrassing. So, these things having been said, my chances of getting an item that I can use are still much higher than in most of the Korean online games that I've played. Talk to me about hunting for epics in Dungeon Fighter Online sometime. Unfortunately, I can't fire dash through most of the walls here. That would be quite a time saver. Oh?
A leader cannot simply stride forward into the future and expect his people to be able to follow. A leader must look over his shoulder so that he can witness and understand the consequences of the path he has chosen, to ensure that his people are still with him, to ensure that he has not become lost.
Well, this is the last one for now. This worm seems to disagree with my strategy of cheating. Well, you gave me a little scare there, that's for sure. Yeah, I'd say this is actually the easiest of them. Those darts don't actually hit that hard. Also, the first time you complete it, the plaque says, an emperor must always be certain of where he stands. And I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. Okay, maybe they do hit reasonably hard. Yeesh. I guess the trick is don't get hit by more than one at a time. Well, that's one task done with. Wow, they are being generous with the silver coins, that is for sure. Oh, you know, it's been a while since we've seen a Harbinger, hasn't it? Well, that's unpleasant.
Too much clutter.
I'm not quite sure what hit me, but that Harbinger is being very aggressive, I'd say. probably shouldn't have followed me. They're being more assertive now. They're like, no, you can't just walk through here. And I can easily see why now. I'm almost at the item of interest. Ooh, that was just an ordinary strongbox and still caused trouble. As succulent as blood, as sweet as power. So, just to kind of confirm what you might have suspected from the look of the plum and its description, yeah, that plum tree was buried with Emperor Chittis, the same guy who thought that employing folks like Malagaro was a good idea. And those plums kill you. Just in case there was any doubt. I don't know whether the item itself kills you. I don't feel like... Oh. That very dramatic sound was a signal of a unique item. "100% increased rarity of items found when on low life." I don't think I'm going to use that too much. I will say, though, that the energy shield is better than my current shoes, and the 10% increased movement speed would be very nice. The problem, as usual, is with the links. I need to... Actually, I think I can work something out. I'm not going to do it right this second because there's really no need. I can complete the quest right now. But between this video and the next one, I'll fix things up. So, give me them quest rewards, Mr. Fairgraves.
Look at the sheen on that plum. Is it not the most delectable fruit that you've ever seen? No? Perhaps the gloss of hope is for my eyes only. Wondrous! Nothing bonds two souls more soundly than murder. For that reason alone, I knew you could be relied upon. Now, for a little amateur vintnering. A quick squeeze of the plum like so into the decanter. Oh my! Look how it transmutes the juice so swiftly from material to spectral. Effortless. And what an aroma. Imminent death never smelled so sweet. I believe I shall call this fine concoction the Imperial Nightcap. Now, before I get too carried away, there's the small matter of your recompense.
I frankly don't care at all about the reward. I just want to see what happens when he drinks that thing.
A toast to swift endings and promising new beginnings. Oh, and you might want to avert your gaze once I have quaffed this diabolical brew. I doubt that my return to solidarity will be a pretty one. Right.
As I used to say in the love dens of Trothus, bottoms up, girls. Oh my. Now that's an unusual sensation. Oh dear. Something is amiss. The All Flame. It's... No. No. It's gone out. What am I... You cannot be. I will not.
Poor sailor boy, doomed to go wherever the winds blow him.
Well, yeah, it seemed to me like he was trying to turn the All Flame into a perpetual motion device, except with magic, and that didn't work out. I suspect that those last few words were not directed at me. Well, that's enough of that for now, I'd say. We'll do one more side quest, and then I think we're just about ready to complete Act 3. Oh, this was a long one, wasn't it? Until then, well, I will see you around. Later.